working on your car. Nothing kills that feeling like a dead battery. Either way, the job's got to get done. Buy any new battery online at advanceautoparts.com and pick it up in store in just 30 minutes. Like a long-lasting Autocraft Gold battery, engineered with power frame technology. Job's done, and you can tackle your next big project. Advance Auto Parts. Let's get you back to the garage.
Visit advanceautoparts.com now to learn more.
Superstorms, road closures, flooding, airports snowed in. If you travel for work like I do, news like that can ruin your whole day. It did mine until I discovered Citrix GoToMeeting online meeting software. With GoToMeeting, you can meet from anywhere using your computer, tablet, or smartphone. No expensive travel required. And with HD video, you simply turn on your webcam and it's just like being in the same room, which means you can stay productive no matter what the news brings.
Visit GoToMeeting.com and start our free 30-day trial.
When it comes to automobile service in Hampton Roads, Fink's Car Care is the destination locals have counted on for decades. Family owned and operated, they specialize in transmission service, oil changes, state inspection, radiator service, tires, alignments, and showcase Win Automotive products. Fink's does it all. Military and senior discounts are available. Find them on Facebook and visit them on South Military Highway in Chesapeake and Victory Boulevard in Portsmouth, Monday through Saturday. For more, log on to finkscarcare.com and call 545-3573 today. For over 25 years, people have counted on one name for all their residential and commercial moving needs: a friendly and affordable mover. No job is too big or too small, and they will assist you with your best interest in mind. Always providing free estimates, a friendly and affordable mover is a company you can count on. Have peace of mind on your next move with a friendly and affordable mover. Call 689-0935 or log on to lovemymover.com.
Bay Propeller is the region's best prop shop. With 25 years under his belt, Max Allen and a team of highly skilled techs provide fast, quality service on all types of boat propellers. From 8 to 80 inches, Bay Propeller utilizes MRI propeller scan technology and dynamic spin balance. Distributor for many brands, Bay Propeller ensures you get the right propeller for your needs at discounted prices, with emphasis on made-in-the-USA propellers. Bay Propeller, next to Portsmouth Trailer Supply in Chesapeake. Call 485-5681. BayPropeller.com.
Chesapeake, Virginia, 1650 AM WHKT presents Sports Scene. Sports Scene features local, regional, and nationally acclaimed guests and excellent interviews. Follow Sports Scene on Twitter at Greg Bick and at GJBTV.com. Now here is Greg Bicouvaris.
And thank you very much, Ken Johnson, on this winner, February 11, 2015. Hard to believe February is just rolling right along here. Greg Bicouvaris, glad you're with us for the Sports Scene interview show each Wednesday from noon to 1, your weekly destination right here. And, of course, I'm going to welcome Dennis Prager, noon to 3, weekdays, of course, except on Wednesday, 1 to 3 as well. Good Talk Radio right here on News Talk 1650. Find them on Facebook and Twitter as well. This is your home for CBS News in Hampton Roads. Tell your friends about 1650. Tell your friends about Sports Scene. Of course, find me on Twitter as several people interact with me at Greg Bick, at Sports Highlight, at GJBTV, HROnlineMall.com. This show is presented by HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. Browse, shop, visit. Thank you to our military each and every day. Great guest lineup as well. Sponsors on GJBTV.com. Marketplace sponsors. Find out about my background. Add me on Facebook as well. Guest lineup presented by HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. Phone line presented by Fink's Car Care with 2 locations as well. And, of course, GJBTV.com and HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. On GJBTV.com, folks, you can go to the YouTube image on the homepage and listen to archive shows and share them on Facebook and Twitter, as several of you do. And, of course, I want to thank Bay Propeller, Finks, and LoveMyMover.com. Ken, you got to love that website, LoveMyMover.com. Really creative website.
It's a good way to do it.
Absolutely. Save the date for the Newport News Greek Festival, May 28th to May 31st. For more, log on to newportnewsgreekfestival.org. Truly the best Greek festival in the state, along with the Norfolk Greek Festival coming up. And condolences again to one of my all-time favorite basketball coaches, Dean Smith. And, of course, Jerry Tarkanian just passed away as well, the former UNLV basketball coach as well. Stay tuned for some great guests. Sports Scene on the radio, 1650 a.m. Lock it in as you're driving on the interstates and local cities in Hampton Roads and throughout the state. And of course, also go to gjbtv.com as well. TuneIn.com, type in WHKT. That's all you have to do. TuneIn.com. That's TUNEIN.com. Type in WHKT to listen on your phone and computer. Right now at Sports Scene at 12:10. We'll be back after these messages.
Bay Propeller is the region's best prop shop. With 25 years under his belt, Max Allen and a team of highly skilled techs provide fast, quality service on all types of boat propellers. From 8 to 80 inches, Bay Propeller utilizes MRI propeller scan technology and dynamic spin balance. Distributor for many brands, Bay Propeller ensures you get the right propeller for your needs at discounted prices, with emphasis on made-in-the-USA propellers. Bay Propeller, next to Portsmouth Trailer Supply in Chesapeake. Call 485-5681. BayPropeller.com.
When it comes to automobile service in Hampton Roads, Fink's Car Care is the destination locals have counted on for decades. Family owned and operated, they specialize in transmission service, oil changes, state inspection, radiator service, tires alignments, and showcase Win automotive products. Fink's does it all. Military and senior discounts are available. Find them on Facebook and visit them on South Military Highway in Chesapeake and Victory Boulevard in Portsmouth, Monday through Saturday. For more, log on to finkscarcare.com and call 545-3573 today. Now back to Greg Bicouvaris and Sports Scene in the Hampton Roads Online Mall.com studio.
I knew my rent was gonna be laid about a week ago. I worked my ass off, but I still can't pay it though. But I got just enough to get off in this club and have me a good time before my time is up. Hey, let's get it now.
All right, glad you're with us right here on the radio on this Wednesday. News Talk 1650, 10,000-watt home for CBS News in the Virginia Beach area. 1211, Greg Bicouvaris along with Ken Johnson up until 1 o'clock. Your home for CBS News, the most credible news source in the world. Ken, especially now, CBS News is really excited about where they are compared to some other networks.
Yeah, I think NBC's taking a bit of a hit. Oh, look, there's Brian Williams, and he's bringing Abraham Lincoln home.
Oh, boy, that's not good. On radio and TV, folks, all you have is your name, like my grandmother used to say. Well, speaking of name, Nick Camino works for WTAM, very involved in sports talk radio and the media in Cleveland, Ohio, all about LeBron James, all about Johnny Manziel. They seem like they're in the news just about every day. The All-Star break is this week in New York. Let's welcome Nick Camino. How are you, my friend?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Very good. My pleasure, of course. Nick, of course. So tell us about your background, first of all.
My background, born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. Been there, obviously, all my life, and ended up attending Cleveland State, was a journalism major, kind of saw the way that it looked like the print media was going, and decided to get into radio and do a little bit of local TV in Cleveland as well.
You are exactly right, because the print media was really popular, of course, when we were growing up, but now it's, you used to go to restaurants and see, and Ken can attest to this as well, a lot of people reading the newspapers at restaurants. Now, everybody's on their phone.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got all these apps now for phones and everything, and I think there will always be a time to have some sort of paper, but
sure,
certainly you see the way that's going.
Before we talk about the Cavs, Browns, and the Indians, let's talk about Ohio State. What do we expect from Urban Meyer this year with the 3 quarterbacks coming back? What are you hearing about that?
Oh, boy. Your guess is as good as mine. I have no idea what they're going to end up doing. I thought that, Cardale Jones was going to be heading to the NFL, and kind of stunned everybody and said he was going to be coming back to finish off his education at Ohio State. So that, to me, was very surprising. I thought that the best out of the 3 was actually J.T. Barrett. Mm-hmm. And now it sounds like Braxton Miller is going to be coming back, which is a little surprising to me, too. So quite honestly, I don't know what they think they're going to do. I mean, I think at this point, they've gone into spring practice, and they're going to see who's kind of to give them the best opportunity to get back to a national championship, or at least the college football playoff. But it's one of the more unique situations I've ever seen, seeing the fact that you got 3 capable quarterbacks that any team, whether it's the Big Ten or the SEC, would take right now in any 3 of those guys.
And most teams are lucky just to have 2 or 1, but 3 is really a luxury, of course. And none of those quarterbacks are great passing quarterbacks. They're more mobile quarterbacks. Of course, they've got big arms, but they're not like past quarterbacks like Mike Tomczak or Jim Corsados or Art Schlichter that played at Ohio State.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're the typical dual threat quarterbacks. And it seems that there was going to be a prototype. It would be Cardale Jones out of all of them. But, yeah, the other guys might only be college quarterbacks. But, yeah, as we've already talked about it, those guys are all tremendous. And I think any team in the country would love to at least have one guy like that. Now, I would say there's three. And I've added 200 quarterbacks that were big star recruits. So it's going to be interesting to see what they're able to do in trying to defend their national title.
Nick, if you can adjust your phone a little bit, we're having a little trouble hearing you. So we're talking to Nick Camino right here. Greg Bicouvaris, glad you're with us on the radio on Sports Scene at 12:15, 1650. Lock it in anywhere on the radio. And, of course, tunein.com. Type in WHKT, of course, talking all things Ohio right now. Ohio sports. Will save the good stuff for last with the Cavs. All right, the Browns went 7-9 under Mike Pettin. Your thoughts about them? It seems like he kept the drama pretty much at bay. But, of course, Manziel, high maintenance, a little bit of diva in him, of course, likes the party. Of course, he's a young kid. Compared to most college kids, he's pretty lame as far as that. People don't realize, but he's just under the microscope because he's the Browns quarterback. It seems like, in retrospect, he should have probably stayed in college another year or so for maturity reasons.
Yeah, I think that was what a lot of people thought about him coming out, the whole maturity thing, and I think that's why you saw a ton of teams pass on him in the first round. I don't know if he was ready for the off-the-field stuff. It certainly did not look ready on the field when he got in during some Browns games this year. So he's got a long ways to go, both on and off the field. I don't know what the Browns are going to do with their quarterback situation. They're probably in Berea at their headquarters in Ohio trying to figure out the same thing as us right now, trying to figure out who's going to be their quarterback next year, whether they're going to sign a guy, whether they bring back Brian Hoyer, whether Manziel's going to be the guy, whether you draft a kid. It's going to be interesting to see what route they take. But Manziel, yeah, he's got a long way to go, like we said, not only off the field, but on the field, because it seems he was a little bit further behind than maybe even any of us thought.
It seemed like back when, we were kids, when Rutigliano was the coach of the Browns, they had Sipe as the quarterback and, of course, some great players. They were competitive with the Steelers and the Oilers somewhat. What's happened with the Browns since they came back since 1999, you think? What has been they've had all these different coaching changes, and it seems like it's just hard to get a winning record.
Well, yeah. Well, number one is they haven't been able to find that guy at quarterback. You look at the guys that have come into the league since the Browns were back in '99. You look at Peyton Manning. You look at Tom Brady. You look at even a Russell Wilson. I mean, there have been franchise quarterbacks that have come out and just been tremendous. I mean, a guy like Andrew Luck. If the Browns don't win two meaningless games at the end of a couple seasons ago, they have Andrew Luck. And so it's just, they've had some bad luck, no pun intended, when it comes to trying to draft a quarterback to be the guy. And they've had a lot of regime changes. I mean, you look at all the names that have come and gone: Butch Davis, Eric Mangini, Pat Shurmur,
Crennel,
Mike Lombardi. Yeah, Crennel. I mean, they've had so many guys that have just come and gone. And instead of taking a step forward, they continue to just keep taking steps back. So it's been an unfortunate cycle for them. And now we're starting to see some more of that with this whole texting situation on the sidelines. And you've got people in the front office like Alex Shiner, who came over from the Dallas Cowboys, who's trying to be a personnel guy when he was just supposed to be a business guy. And you've got the owner wanting to make draft picks and Jimmy Haslam. So it's just been a mess. And unfortunately, I don't really see an end in sight for them right now.
Sports Scene right here on the radio, 1650 AM, News Talk 1650, your home for CBS News. Also, tunein.com, type in WHKT. It's kind of funny, Nick. Almost every radio show now has got a national platform thanks to TuneIn.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, It's always it's great to be online. Absolutely. It's changed the game. Absolutely.
Yep. Of course, our list. But back one more thing to the Browns, real quick. You look at the Bengals and the Steelers. Model of consistency as head coaches. The Bengals haven't always been sharp, but they've made the playoffs every year lately, and they've had the same coach for several years now. Same with the Steelers, who of course Tomlin is right here from Newport News.
Yeah, I mean, at some point you got to be able to have some continuity. You've got to be able to keep some of the pieces there so you can really find your identity. And the thing I'll give the Steelers credit for is year after year after year after year, they just plug pieces into their system and they make it work. And they've only had, 3 head coaches over the last 50 years. The Browns have had like 9 or 10 since they came back. I mean, it's just, it's just, you got to find that consistency. You've got to find that model. And unfortunately, the Browns haven't been able to do that because they just keep changing regimes and head coaches and quarterbacks, and they just keep going backwards.
All right, well, last thing about football, of course, the Super Bowl, of course, the Patriots won it, and it's amazing. If the Seahawks would have connected on that passing play, nobody would have said anything, and really, it was more, to me, it was a better defensive effort, better than anything else, but that play seemed like it got a lot of controversy, that and Lynch not talking to the, the media.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason why he shouldn't be touching the ball there at some point. I mean, I know they only had one timeout left, but and again, yeah, if the play works, it's a good call. But you've got one of the best running backs in the league there. I think Pete Carroll, if he was in a different market, be it New York, Philadelphia, Boston, something like that, I think that he would be getting a lot more criticism than he has in that nice. Where is he, in the Pacific Northwest up there in Seattle? It's just kind of been able to kind of escape with people saying it was a bad call, but it seems like he's maybe even getting off a little bit easy. That was pretty bad.
Well, he hasn't got easy off in New York. Mike Francesa has ripped him basically every day for over a week on WFAN, but we're talking right here.
I understand that, but I'm saying if he was if he was coaching in that market,
sure,
there's national hosts that are going after him, but if he was in a different market, it would be, I think he's kind of getting a free pass maybe by Seattle fan standards.
Oh, if you ever want to go in the witness protection program, go to Seattle. That's definitely the place to go.
That's right.
That in Alaska. I've been to Seattle before.
Yeah.
It's beautiful out there, too. Talking to Nick Camino right here. All right, let's spring training's right around the corner. The Indians went 85-77, but they do have a consistent manager there in Terry Francona. Of course, Hargrove was there for several years. Francona's won at the world-class level with the Red Sox. What are the Indians expecting in 2015 before we talk about the Cavaliers here?
Well, they're in a pretty wide-open division in the AL Central. Obviously, Detroit is the odds-on favorite, and it sounds like Victor Martinez isn't going to miss too much time. So, but, I mean, you've got a lot of teams in there that seem like they could be capable of winning it. I mean, I thought the Indians were actually, most of the season last year, a better ball club top to bottom than the Kansas City Royals, and the Royals got to Game 7 of the World Series. So it's amazing how wide open it seems to be year after year. I would say the only team that doesn't have a shot and maybe winning the division would be the Minnesota Twins, who have Paul Molitor now as their manager, and they're still a little bit a ways off. But you look at what the Chicago White Sox did during this offseason. You look at what the Indians have tried to do over the last couple of years, as you mentioned with Terry Francona here. He's that constant force. And then you've got the team that went to the World Series, and you've got the Detroit Tigers, who are the odds-on favorite to win the division. So I think the Central is pretty wide open. From an Indians perspective, they're going to need to get good pitching and good defense. And last year they got one of them. They got tremendous pitching, but they were the worst defensive team in Major League Baseball. So if they can get better defensively and get some timely hitting, I think they can hang around in the race as they have done over the last couple of years.
Yep, and closer to home, the Orioles and Nationals both made the postseason last year, but they just haven't been able to evolve for whatever reason in the postseason. All right, let's switch gears to the good stuff now, the NBA. Boy, oh boy, it was good to have LeBron come back. First of all, how was that experience? They're 32-21. They've got the Heat tonight, the last game before the All-Star break. And I guarantee you this right now, not many teams want to play them in the playoffs. I know you can say that for sure. I don't think Washington wants to play them. I don't think, Milwaukee wants to play them. I don't think Toronto wants to play them, or even Atlanta, because it seems like with LeBron's psychology, to me, at least from a distance here, Nick, is that he's kind of gearing his body up physically and mentally for the postseason. The regular season is winding down now, and it just seems like they're coming focused. I'm still not sold on the chemistry, though. For him and Love, I'm fine with. It's the other kid from Duke. I'm not sold on the chemistry with him and LeBron. I just don't. There seems to be some tension there, and Blatt seems to be a hire from the owner just because maybe they have a lot in common. And to me, that could backfire. He's using some Dr. Phil psychology now by talking about Love instead of himself. What do you see?
Well, I think that the tension, that has come out of all this has just been of late with Kevin Love and LeBron James. I think that Kyrie Irving and LeBron have been playing tremendously together, and I think that it's a situation where this team, as you pointed out, they need to hit on chemistry and they need to gel. But for the most part, I think they're even further ahead than people might have thought at this point. I know they started out slow, but this is the best team in the Eastern Conference. I don't care what the records say. the Atlanta Hawks would not beat a LeBron James team over the course of a week and a half because they just have no go-to guy.
Nope.
I mean, Jeff Teague, nice player. Paul Millsap, nice player. Al Horford, nice player. Kyle Korver, nice player. But you're not going to go into the star-studded Cavaliers team and beat them. It's just not going to happen. So I think the Cavs are the best team. Will they win a title? It might be a little bit early to say on that, but I think they're starting to come together a little bit more. I think that David Blatt, who you mentioned, is able to he was able to kind of weather that early storm, and when you win, all that kind of goes away. So I think that the more that they continue to win and the more that they continue to grow, the more ready they're going to be to take this in the Eastern Conference. I think when it's all said and done, it'll be them versus the Chicago Bulls, and we'll see who goes to the finals.
Yeah, the Bulls have always been injured this time of the year. 12:25 on Sports Scene. Reminder, it's lunchtime. Don't forget Mi Casita, the best Mexican food at the beach. 2 locations. Go to MiCasitaMexican.com. Call them at 463-3819. Great tacos, burritos, enchiladas at Mi Casita in Virginia Beach. Open daily for you. Of course, final few moments right here talking all things Cleveland with Nick Camino, WTAM, of course. Nick, go ahead and plug your show and your Twitter handle.
My show, 7 to 10, Monday through Friday on WTAM 1100. As you mentioned, you can listen online at WTAM.com and talk all things Cleveland sports. Sometimes we even get away from sports a little bit. So it's we have a lot of fun on there.
What are your thoughts, the passing of Dean Smith, of course, and now Jerry Tarkanian as well?
Oh, gosh. I mean, 2 college basketball legends, absolutely. I mean, you look at Dean Smith, he actually literally changed the game. I mean, they put in the shot clock because of him, and you see the way the teams get together after free throws and during timeouts because of him. Just an unbelievable, I'm a huge college basketball guy, so and seeing those 2 pass within such close time, it's sad. It's sad, and I think we knew that Dean Smith's health over the last couple of years was not too good. So, but yeah, just changed the game, and a guy who is up there among the college basketball greats.
Yep, talking to Nick Camino, of course. And what are your thoughts? Kentucky always seems to be peaking. They haven't always had dominant teams, but they've always had great teams under Calipari. This seems to be a very solid team, or is it more like there's just not enough good college teams? Virginia here is very good, and of course, you can never count out Louisville. But what are your thoughts about Kentucky?
Boy, I like Virginia, by the way.
You do? Okay.
Tony Bennett's done a great job with them.
Sure.
But, I think that Kentucky, if you catch them on a cold shooting night, you got an opportunity to beat them. Their issue is they're so long, they're so athletic, they get so many second chance points. I mean, yesterday, I thought that LSU played the better game, but the better team won because they're just longer, they're more athletic, they can get second chance points. And I don't know if they're going to run the table. I almost think it would be better for their sake to lose one time before going into the tournament, because I think that's just a ton of pressure on them. But, it was funny when I heard at the beginning of the year all these people talking about an undefeated season, I kind of chuckled, but the joke might be on me because this team looks pretty damn good, and I think that they can really shoot the ball when they're on, and they rebound, and they play defense. So they might have an opportunity to run the table, but I don't know. There's always that team that gets in there in the tournament. If you catch them on a cold shooting night, you might have a chance to beat them.
Yep. Final few moments here with Nick Camino, Greg Bicouvaris. This is Sports Scene on 1650 AM. Lock it in on the radio, of course. TuneIn.com. Type in WHKT. Listen on your phone or your computer anywhere in the nation or in the world, of course. And you talk about the college basketball in the postseason. It seems like college basketball, Nick, really becomes relevant after the Super Bowl is over. Now it's their time.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm watching games in November and December, and my friends are looking at me like I'm crazy.
Yeah.
And they're probably right. I mean, yeah, after the Super Bowl is when the college basketball really takes over, and it'll be fun. I love the conference tournaments. I love the NCAA tournament. Still the best postseason going, and it's going to be a lot of fun to see it. This, I would say, after Kentucky, is one of the most wide-open years that I could really remember in recent memory for college basketball this year.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Nick, all the best. Have a great Wednesday. Good luck with your show. And go ahead and plug your Twitter handle one more time.
All right, guys. Yeah, at Nick Camino, WTAM on Twitter. We have a lot of fun on there, and I'll be glad to do it again. It was fun to catch up.
My pleasure. Thank you, Nick. Okay. All right, Nick Camino right there gives a little higher perspective about LeBron James, Johnny Manziel, and of course, Dean Smith was legendary here for the Four Corners. He had J.R. Reed for Virginia Beach. I grew up as a kid watching Phil Ford and Walter Davis, my two all-time favorite players in North Carolina. Believe it or not, Michael Jordan was not my all-time favorite player. It was Phil Ford and Walter Davis, Tommy Lagarde, Mitch Kupchak, who's now with the Lakers, but a big legend in Dean Smith passing away.
Yep, and the old guard is moving along. I wonder who will fill their shoes. There don't seem to be too many coming up through the ranks that can really fill those shoes.
Reminder, CBS News coming up. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Greg Bick. Add me on Facebook, Greg Bicouvaris, and of course, GJBTV.com. This is Sports Scene. Dennis Prager coming up at 1 o'clock. Here's Ken Johnson.
No major problems in traffic right now, but there may be some overnights depending upon where you're going. First of all, in Virginia Beach, First Colonial Road, boy, it's been a long day already, has lane closures for road work between Great Neck and Alaskan roads overnight tonight, tomorrow night, 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. They'll do it again next week, Sunday night through Thursday night, 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. Between Great Neck and Alaskan roads. Look out for lane closures. Also, the eastbound downtown tunnel has single lane closures overnight tonight, tomorrow night, 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. A full eastbound tunnel closure coming up again this weekend. Mostly clear skies tonight with a low of 30, morning sun, afternoon clouds with scattered showers tomorrow, and a high of 50 degrees. The weekend doesn't look too bad. It's going to be kind of cold and windy. CBS News is next on AM 1650. The Answer, it's 1231.
CBS News Update. I'm Steve Kaith, and President Obama is asking Congress to formally authorize war against ISIS. House Speaker Boehner wonders if it will give military commanders enough flexibility.
The delivery of this authorization is the beginning of a legislative process that will involve hearings, markups, and I'm sure changes.
Some Democrats, like California's Nancy Pelosi, have held off on endorsing this.
There is no appetite for any boots on the ground except in limited circumstances.
There's no timetable for Congress to act. CBS's Cammie McCormick says the U.S.-led air campaign against ISIS has not cut its recruiting.
The numbers are only growing. The director of the Counterterrorism Center calls them unprecedented. More than 20,000 so far from 90 countries, including the U.S. And he said these foreign fighters are getting combat experience, weapons and explosives training, and meeting terrorists who may be planning attacks in the West.
CBS News Update. I'm Steve Kathan.
Hi, this is Greg Bicouvaris. Join me for Sports Scene each Wednesday from noon to 1 right here on News Talk 1650 WHKT. You can also hear the show on TuneIn as well. We will talk to local, regional, and nationally acclaimed sports guests, and we'll interact with our audience as well at Greg Bick on Twitter. Sports Scene, Wednesdays from noon to 1 right here on 1650 AM.
When it comes to automobile service in Hampton Roads, Fink's Car Care is the destination locals have counted on for decades. Family owned and operated, they specialize in transmission service, oil changes, state inspection, radiator service, tires alignments, and showcase Win automotive products. Fink's does it all. Military and senior discounts are available. Find them on Facebook and visit them on South Military Highway in Chesapeake and Victory Boulevard in Portsmouth, Monday through Saturday. For more, log on to finkscarcare.com and call 545-3573 today.
Bay Propeller is the region's best prop shop. With 25 years under his belt, Max Allen and a team of highly skilled techs provide fast, quality service on all types of boat propellers. From 8 to 80 inches, Bay Propeller utilizes MRI propeller scan technology and dynamic spin balance. Distributor for many brands, Bay Propeller ensures you get the right propeller for your needs at discounted prices, with emphasis on made-in-the-USA propellers. Bay Propeller, next to Portsmouth Trailer Supply in Chesapeake. Call 485-5681. BayPropeller.com.
Now back to Greg Bicouvaris and Sports Scene in the Hampton Roads Online Mall.com studio. It's now time for Greg's Highlights, presented by Hampton Roads Online Mall.com Marketplace Pages.
And we welcome Blue Cafe Bar and Sushi to Hampton Roads Online Mall.com. Really good restaurant up there. Chris and Company at 13175 Jefferson Avenue in the Denby section of Newport News, 898-6888, open daily. Great sushi, folks. Great food. They have hot meals there as well, 7 days a week. Love the name, Blue Cafe. Love that color blue. Up in Denby, 13175 Jefferson Avenue. Welcome them to Hampton Roads Online Mall.com. Browse, shop, and visit. They got delicious sushi, lunch, appetizers, of course, sashimi, rainbow rolls, rice and noodles, noodles, kitchen entrees. They've got it all right there at Blue Cafe. Go by and see Chris and company as well. All right, gjbtv.com. Click the YouTube link for archive shows. Of course, shop in the marketplace sponsors, browse, shop, and visit, especially for Valentine's Day coming up this Saturday. Save the date. I'll be back again next Wednesday for Sports Scene from 12 to 1. 14 months and going right here on News Talk 1650 WHKT. That's 14 months and counting. Business Spotlight Scene coming up a little bit later. What Tees Me Off, always a lot of fun as Ken and I go over the week's teeing off episodes. Sports highlights on nnpstv.com. You'll see the featured guest there, Kevin Martingale. We had him on Sports Scene last week. Want to thank him for coming in the studio as well. Always great guest. College basketball, the NBA heating up now that football is over with as well. And of course, the NBA commissioner is talking about gambling and stuff. I'm totally against that. The betting stuff, and no gambling should be allowed except, in Vegas, but that's what they want to do. More power to them. But we can have a free country and we can agree to disagree. It goes on. Nobody's naive. But should it be inclusive? No. And don't forget, there are kids watching the NBA and college basketball that are influenced and intrigued by these athletes. And sometimes these athletes and the commissioner talks about gambling are not exactly role models either.
No, and that's important for you to think about that. Who's watching you? Who's paying attention, especially for sports figures, because it's usually little kids, highly influential, and they're going to want to do what they see. And if you're not behaving yourself, guess what they're going to do?
And why should gambling be inclusive where it's always been exclusive? People do it. We're not naive, but kids watch and see and hear that. Another thing, too, and I'll get to that on What Tees Me Off a little bit later. All right, stay tuned. We got another guest coming up, and, of course, our Business Spotlight Scene, a lot of goodies right here on Sports Scene. Lock it in on the radio here at 12:36 up until 1 o'clock before CBS News. Ken, nice to have CBS News at 1 o'clock, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. Okay, all right, stay tuned, folks.
Bay Propeller is the region's best prop shop. With 25 years under his belt, Max Allen and a team of highly skilled techs provide fast, quality service on all types of boat propellers. From 8 to 80 inches, Bay Propeller utilizes MRI propeller scan technology and dynamic spin balance. Distributor for many brands, Bay Propeller ensures you get the right propeller for your needs at discounted prices, with emphasis on made-in-the-USA propellers. Bay Propeller, next to Portsmouth Trailer Supply in Chesapeake. Call 485-5681. BayPropeller.com.
For over 25 years, people have counted on one name for all their residential and commercial moving needs: a friendly and affordable mover. No job is too big or too small, and they will assist you with your best interest in mind. Always providing free estimates, a friendly and affordable mover is a company you can count on. Have peace of mind on your next move with a friendly and affordable mover. Call 689-0935 or log on to lovemymover.com. When it comes to automobile service in Hampton Roads, Fink's Car Care is the destination locals have counted on for decades. Family owned and operated, they specialize in transmission service, oil changes, state inspection, radiator service, tires alignments, and showcase Win automotive products. Fink's does it all. Military and senior discounts are available. Find them on Facebook and visit them on South Military Highway in Chesapeake and Victory Boulevard in Portsmouth, Monday through Saturday. For more, log on to finkscarcare.com and call 545-3573 today. Now back to Greg Bicouvaris and Sports Scene in the Hampton Roads Online Mall.com studio.
Baby, I'm playing on you tonight. Hunt you down, eat you alive. Just like animals, animals like animals. Maybe you think that you can hide. I can smell your scent for miles. Just like animals, animals like animals. Baby, I'm so would you try?
All right, back live right here on the radio, News Talk 1650, your 10,000-watt home of Hampton Roads. This is Sports Scene. Greg Bicouvaris, glad you're with us. A regular right here, Mick Mixon. We've had him on when I worked for the Redskins radio, also on this station as well. A longtime voice with Woody Durham with the North Carolina Tar Heels, and now for several years, the voice of the Carolina Panthers, who made the postseason again this past year, going 1-1 in the postseason. Mick, welcome, my friend.
Hey, Greg, it's nice being on in Hampton Roads. And how you doing? How's your show been going?
Very good, my friend. I got to tell you this. I've always, when working some games for CBS over the years, Duke and Carolina, NC State and Wake Forest, part of the reason I liked going down there from Newport News was to hear Woody and Mick on the radio. I kid you not, folks. It was never an inconvenience to go down there. Of course, you're seeing the best basketball in the country, but to hear Woody and Mick on the radio, whether it was the pregame show, him talking about the Granville Towers, whatever it was nothing like it. It was a magical time there, Mick.
You're kind to say that, Greg. I appreciate it. Coming from you, that means a lot. I spent 16 seasons as a color analyst and production manager on that network, and Woody and I traveled a lot of miles together, and I always feel complimented when our names are in the same sentence, and I appreciate you bringing it up. It was, I don't know, to me, the 80s, the 70s, the 80s, even into the 90s, was some of the golden age of Atlantic Coast Conference basketball before expansion, before the league got a little muddier and it was harder to tell what teams were in the Coastal Division, what teams were in the Atlantic Division, and you had the true round robins. I mean, you knew if you went to Virginia or you went to Maryland and you got dipped, that was all right. It hurt, but you had them coming your way. You could count on that true round robin. So, but like most things in life, it doesn't stay the same for very long, does it?
No, everything evolves. Talking to Mick Mixon, the voice of the Carolina Panthers, used to be the voice of the North Carolina Tar Heels. Greg Bicouvaris, glad you're with us. And we had J.R. Reed from this area, one of the players that went to Carolina, played for the late Coach Dean Smith. And as a kid, watching both Bill Fosters, the one at Clemson, the one at Duke, Lefty Drizel, who lives here in Virginia Beach now, and, of course, the Four Corners with Tommy Lagarde, Mitch Kupchak, Phil Ford, Mike O'Korn. And one of my all-time favorite players was Walter Davis, Mick.
Oh yeah, South Park or South Mecklenburg High School, and just a silky smooth player. I mean, just rarely looked like he was herky jerky at all. Just a strider going down the court, a good defender, better offensive and defensive rebounder than probably got credit for, and he could play offense as well. And you mentioned Mike O'Korn, Jimmy Black, Al Wood, all those guys kind of fall in my era as well. And this is a sad time in the Southeast and really nationally with the passing of Coach Dean Smith, one of the greatest coaches. I'm not big on quantifying. I mean, good gosh, people kill each other, beat each other over the head with who's better, Mike Krzyzewski or Dean Smith or this debate or that. To me, that's like trying to say which of these 1,000 co-eds are the most attractive. It's like trying to quantify art, and I think that Dean Smith was an artist the way he coached, but by any objective analysis, one of the great coaches in any team sport in the history of athletics.
Yeah, in college basketball, just lost Jerry Tarkanian as well. So two legends, both who won national championships, passed on. And you talk about Carolina and the decades that Coach Smith was there, but people don't realize, Mick, you know this firsthand, that him and Norm Sloan, in my opinion, had the best rivalry before Duke was around. Of course, Coach Foster was coaching at Duke as well, and he had Spinarkle and Jaminski and Banks and all those great players. But him and Sloan, whenever those two teams played, it was an event.
You're right, and it takes two great teams to make a rival. And when Coach Smith had risen to prominence in the '60s, NC State came right behind with some unbelievable David Thompson, Monty Tao. You had Tom Burleson, Phil Spence. I mean, you had some great teams that Norm Sloan authored, and so those were incredible rivals. And everybody needs a foil. All the great ones do. Ali needed Frazier. Richard Petty needed Yarborough and Allison. Martina needed Chrissy. Jack needed Arnie. It's no accident that when they run the Greyhounds, they chase a mechanical rabbit just to make sure that they give everything they have and trying to catch a prize. And that's kind of the way the Tobacco Road basketball was, and probably still is for a lot of the coaches. But I think Mike Krzyzewski would say, Greg, as Coach Smith would if he could, that the two of them, their legacies are even more secure because of the existence of one another.
And, of course, Carmichael was special. But I tell you, folks, of all the gyms I've walked into, you can talk about Cameron. But that's kind of an outdated place. It's got a lot of historic memories. There's nothing like walking into the Dean Dome, and Coach Smith had not been there the last several years as much. And Mick, I feel comfortable asking you this: was Coach Smith a smoker back in the day, like a lot of people were?
Oh yeah. He was one of the most famous closet smokers since Barack Obama.
Wow.
I mean, I think he eventually did quit, but he traded one addiction for another. In that he went for that nicotine gum. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I can still hear the crackling of that nicotine gum wrapper as he would unpeel one and pop it in his mouth. But I think he did a good job smoking a lot less and even quitting later in his career.
Mick, one of the last times people in Virginia saw him was right here at the NCAA tournament. You remember it was at the Richmond Coliseum in 1996. You remember that?
Oh, I sure do. It was a run in the NCAA tournament. The Tar Heels had some difficult times up in that area. There was a loss to Boston College. Rasheed Wallace takes a shot from the deep left corner, and I was looking right down the gun barrel at it against Boston College. It looked like it was going to go in and break Billy Curley and the Boston College Eagles' hearts, but it did not go in, and BC won. So, yeah, it was when you went into Virginia, even to play the Cavaliers, to even play Virginia Tech, it was going to be a tough time.
Right. And let's switch gears, of course, to the Panthers. They made the postseason, even with a losing record, but that bottom line was they saved the coach's job. I think he should never have been in question anyway, but they made the postseason. They moved on, and now I guess they can look forward to 2015. And, you guys beat the Cardinals and lost to Seattle.
Well, we don't get rings, but we got T-shirts at least for the NFC South Division Championship and winning that back-to-back. That is something that the Panthers can take pride in. History will remember this team for its indomitable spirit, for hanging in there, for being tough and resilient, and for playing really playoff football the entire month of December. The Panthers were in that lose or the season ends mode every game in December, and then on into the postseason, of course. So I think that this team set an example that future Carolina Panther teams will be able to look back on when things maybe aren't going as well and say, look, that's what can happen if you don't fragment. That's what can happen if you stay unified.
Right, and of course, the Hardy situation was a little dramatic, of course. Cam really matured as the year went on, and he's lucky he's alive. Mick, that was a scary day a few months ago.
That's why this team went to Seattle, not just thinking they could win, but knowing they would win. Didn't turn out that way, but the Panthers felt like this was their destiny, that this was their shot at making history. And it would have been, had the Panthers been able to go to the NFC Championship game, it would have been one of the greatest stories in the last 100 years of sports, to be where Carolina was. And it's still a remarkable story, but it ended just a little bit too quickly to permanently cement this Carolina Panther team in the minds of most sports historians and sports fans. But the Panthers went to Seattle thinking that we've been through it all. Adversity breeds togetherness. We've had Coach Ron Rivera's house burned down. We've had the incredible Cam Newton Dodge Ram pickup flips over. He gets out of it. This is one game, and then starts playing some of the best football of his career. He had the Greg Hardy, Frank Alexander situations from earlier in the year. I think the Panthers just felt like this was their destiny to win.
Not to mention Steve Smith going to the Ravens.
Well, that was highly publicized as well. I know the Panthers took all kind of heat in August and July. I remember reading all these magazines, the pro football magazines, and hearing the national commentators talk. Everybody was heaping love on Tampa Bay and Lovie Smith. Mm-hmm. Everybody thought this was going to be Atlanta's year to rise back up. And of course, anytime you got the Saints and Drew Brees, Sean Payton in your division, that's a bloody block to live on. But it was almost as if the Carolina Panthers had joined the Southern Conference or the NAIA. I mean, it was crazy. Nobody thought the Panthers were going to do it, in part because of the loss of so many high-profile players to free agency.
Yep, final few moments right here with Mick Mixon, the voice of the Carolina Panthers, also called Dean Smith's games as well in North Carolina, of course. What are your thoughts about Carolina now? We had some thoughts about them, as they evolve throughout the year, but Roy Williams always seems to get them peaking this time of the year. Do they have enough depth is my question as well.
Yeah, that's a good call, Greg. I don't know. I don't follow it like I used to, but
sure.
It just seems as though they get shots and they'll guard you, but when Roy Williams' vaunted transition offense isn't there, when it doesn't yield a good shot, either in the primary or the secondary break, They seem to struggle in the half court, not so much getting the shots, but knocking them down. I mean, for years, Carolina was known for having highly skilled players. They may not be the most athletic team, but even guys like, oh golly, Pete Chilcutt and Ademola Okulaja and Serge Wicker, and some of the guys that maybe not be the Stackhouse, Wallace, Phil Ford, Walter Davis household names, man, you could not leave them open. You couldn't play off of them to help on another offensive player because they could shoot.
Yeah.
And I think Coach Williams would love to have a couple more shooters on this club.
Well, not to mention, too, if McAdoo would have come back this year, Mick, I think they would have dominated the ACC, totally dominated it.
Yeah, it could be. And we'll see how it goes. I mean, North Carolina's still right there. The last game I paid real close attention to was the loss to Louisville, and that left a mark. I mean, the Tar Heels had it in hand. Louisville just seemed to, I hate cliches, I don't know any other better way to say it, though, than just seemed to have a higher degree of want to. They were faster to the loose balls. They won the 50-50 balls in the open court. They got more floor burns in that game, and Coach Williams, he hates losing, but especially if he feels like one of his teams has been out tough.
Yeah, Mick, thanks a lot. We'll talk to you again. Looking forward to the TV radio schedule coming out in a couple months. That's one thing NFL gets it right, folks. They get their schedule done in April. The NFL gets a lot of criticism for the off-the-field stuff with the commissioner and Ray Rice, but they get the schedule done right. And then, of course, they can adjust it later. But, Mick, we'll talk to you again in a few months.
Sounds good, Greg. I appreciate your show. You do a great job up there, and Hampton Roads is lucky to have you.
My pleasure, Mick. You're a true talent myself, and always a pleasure.
Talk to you soon, buddy.
Thank you, my friend. Safe travels. All right, Ken, Mick Mixon, just a real gentleman, the voice of the South, the voice of the North Carolina Tar Heels in the past when Dean Smith was there with Woody Durham, and now the voice of the Panthers. What a true Southern gentleman he is.
And you can tell he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
you got it. Of course, right here, this is Sports Scene on the radio, 1650 AM, tunein.com, type in WHKT. Stay tuned.
Bay Propeller is the region's best prop shop. With 25 years under his belt, Max Allen and a team of highly skilled techs provide fast, quality service on all types of boat propellers. From 8 to 80 inches, Bay Propeller utilizes MRI propeller scan technology and dynamic spin balance. Distributor for many brands, Bay Propeller ensures you get the right propeller for your needs at discounted prices, with emphasis on made-in-the-USA propellers. Bay Propeller, next to Portsmouth Trailer Supply in Chesapeake. Call 485-5681. BayPropeller.com.
For over 25 years, people have counted on one name for all their residential and commercial moving needs: a friendly and affordable mover. No job is too big or too small, and they will assist you with your best interest in mind. Always providing free estimates, a friendly and affordable mover is a company you can count on. Have peace of mind on your next move with a friendly and affordable mover. Call 689-0935 or log on to lovemymover.com. When it comes to automobile service in Hampton Roads, Fink's Car Care is the destination locals have counted on for decades. Family owned and operated, they specialize in transmission service, oil changes, state inspection, radiator service, tires, alignments, and showcase Win automotive products. Fink's does it all. Military and senior discounts are available. Find them on Facebook and visit them on South Military Highway in Chesapeake and Victory Boulevard in Portsmouth, Monday through Saturday. For more, log on to finkscarcare.com and call 545-3573 today. Now back to Greg Bicouvaris and Sports Scene in the Hampton Roads Online Mall.com studio.
And thank you very much, Ken Johnson. Just a reminder, Buffalo Wild Wings, it's lunchtime. Go by and see Bruce and the great staff in Hampton at 4201 Kilgore Avenue. Right there, get some great honey barbecue, great sports to watch, basketball, hockey going on at Buffalo Wild Wings in Hampton. Of course, BuffaloWildWings.com. Find them on Facebook, find them on Twitter. Great lunch and dinner served 7 days a week at Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, and sports. And, of course, what goes well with food is dessert. Our regular right here from theroyalchocolate.com. Let's welcome Brenda Tusing. It's Valentine's week. Happy Valentine's Day, Brenda.
Happy Valentine's Day to you, Greg.
We'll talk about, first of all, plug everything with the Royal Chocolate.
Gosh, you can find a lot of the things that we do online at theroyalchocolate.com. You can follow us on Pinterest. Pinterest.com/TheRoyalChalk. That's CHOC. And also on Instagram, the Royal Chocolate VB. So any of those ways you can follow what we're doing. But we are, can you say strawberries?
Yeah.
We are doing thousands of strawberries. We just got a delivery this morning from our vendor, and I mean to tell you, they are the biggest, brightest, most beautiful berries I have seen in a long time. Of course, we're dipping them in Belgian chocolate, so that doesn't hurt either.
Well, where are you located at? Tell us your store hours this week and phone number.
Actually, phone number first, 757-557-6925. We're in the Virginia Beach Town Center, 164 Central Park Avenue. We have extended store hours this week. Friday, normally we're open 10 to 9, but Friday we'll be open from 10 to 10. And then Saturday we're open 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. because that's Valentine's Day. And then Sunday noon to 6 p.m. And we still have some seatings available for our chocolate fondue seatings. It's a nice little area here by the fireplace. So we're selling a lot of packages this weekend, and just very busy and a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's still cold. It's still wintertime, folks. I mean, it's,
it sure is.
We had a few days of spring-like weather, but it changed overnight, and I guess that adds to the ambiance. And what a week, too, Brenda. Not only it's Valentine's, but it falls on a weekend.
I know.
Then you
and
got
we have Monday holiday. How crazy is that?
Yeah, and the movie 50 Shades of Grey comes out. And, of course, it's like we mentioned, it's a weekend. And, of course, there's a lot is going on around Valentine's Day.
Right, exactly. It seems like, Christmas and holidays are always busy, but somehow Valentine's Day is very intense and just romance in the air. And you know what's fun about Valentine's Day is people coming in and really not sure what to purchase, and we just like that really one-on-one attention we can offer a customer, helping them find the right thing for the person. And it may be their kids, it could be a coworker, it could be anybody. They just feel like they want to remember on Valentine's Day.
And, of course, it starts with you and Terry and your wonderful staff and your managers and so forth. But what I love about it the most part is it's accessible right there. It's a little community right there in the town center. You can see out the window. You've got plenty of seating. People can browse, shop, and visit in your store. And really there's something for everyone, kids as well.
There certainly is, and all price points. That's the other thing I always like to point out to people is that for as little as $5, you can have a really nice gift with a ribbon and a label, and it doesn't have to break the bank, as I always say, just to remember somebody, to do a little something for someone. It can be very affordable.
Yeah, take the time, folks. They're open. Valentine's Day is not till Saturday. You still have several days to go there. Get your wife or your girlfriend, your coworker, whoever, your next-door neighbor, sister, daughter, whoever, some type of nice treat. And there's an assortment
and we're still delivering, too. Don't forget, we do local deliveries. So we're still delivering. We're shipping, but, it's getting pretty close to Valentine's Day to guarantee that.
Yeah, 557-6925. Brenda, we'll talk to you next month. Look forward to it. TheRoyalChocolate.com, folks. Go by there today, tomorrow, any day. Thank you, Brenda.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Have a great day. Thanks,
you too. All right, Brenda right there from the Royal Chocolate. Ken, let's get to what teased me off.
What tees you off? Presented by GJBTV.com.
And Ken, on a brighter note, there's never a bad time to get candy at the Royal Chocolate. It doesn't have to be Valentine's Day.
Yeah, it doesn't always have to be a holiday. In fact, it's kind of cool if you get your special someone a little special something when it's not a holiday. Makes it even more special.
Exactly. I've never heard a guy saying those excited about Valentine's Day, though. It's always the girls. Anyway, people dropping off passengers, Ken, in the middle parking lot at busy retail places.
Or on a busy street. Have you ever had traffic just dead stop because somebody's decided to pull off and drop somebody off and then sits and waits for them?
Yeah, or the side of the road or the interstate as well. How about people walking in parking lots with kids in their hands with their heads down, not even acknowledging the cars?
Oh, it drives me crazy. And I see some parents walking their children alongside of a busy street and they don't have them by the hand and they're just wandering all over. Oh, I just cringe.
And not to mention our jaywalker buddies that you can't see at night that think they're entitled to cross the street on busy intersections. Hello, there's cars going all types of speed limits.
Yeah.
And what about speed limits, Ken? On the interstate here, right going from Virginia Beach all the way to the peninsula, 55, 60, 65, 70. Get it right. Just because there's a couple of houses around a mile away, it still can be 70. Williamsburg gets it right.
There's this whole silly federal formula they have to follow to determine what a speed limit can and can't be. It's pretty lame. Cars are kind of designed to do about 70 miles an hour for the best efficient gas usage. 55 is old hat. That never was right to begin with. So, yeah, come on. As long as you're driving right, and that's the biggest issue, is having drivers that know what the heck they're doing. As long as you know what you're doing, you can do 70 miles an hour.
Exactly. Both hands on the wheel, don't text or talk, of course. And, of course, Ken, it's tax time. How some states vary on income taxes like Florida and Texas. Lucky them.
Voluntary tax. That's what the Constitution says. It's a voluntary tax. Of course, if you don't volunteer to pay it, guess where you end up?
But Ken,
and try to get your money out of the IRS. They want yours, but you try to get. I'm still waiting on an adjustment from last year.
Yeah, and all the restaurant people are saying, well, we still get mostly cash. Really? Okay. Ken, who will be a legitimate president in 2016? Still, what teased me off, that is.
Oh, man.
On either party.
There don't seem to be too many on the horizon that are getting much notice. The ones that should get noticed aren't getting noticed. I think we're going to see another Clinton-Bush matchup. God help us.
Yeah, and of course, condolences to the young lady who lost her life due to the ISIS debacle. And of course, ever since Iran and Khomeini, Ken, it just doesn't seem like the Middle East is right. Ever since then.
No, it hasn't been right for about 3,000 or 4,000 years.
Yep. I want to thank our great guest, Nick Camino from WTAM in Cleveland. Mick Mixon, the voice of the Carolina Panthers, former voice of North Carolina Tar Heels, recollecting Dean Smith, the late Dean Smith, and Brenda Tusing from the Royal Chocolate. For Ken Johnson, I'm Greg Bicouvaris. Don't forget, gjbtv.com. Hit the YouTube link, and we'll talk to you soon.
AM 1650, WHKT Portsmouth, 1 o'clock.